The stars looked different from this far out. Captain Henry Morris stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiant, watching the unfamiliar patterns through the main viewport. After 3 months in deep space, the edge of the Orion arm felt both exciting and lonely. "Captain, sensors are picking up an unknown vessel at coordinates 227 Mark 43, said Commander Susan Wells, her eyes fixed on her monitor. Morris nodded. "Standard first contact protocols. Open all frequencies and prepare the universal greeting." This was the moment every explorer dreamed of. The Defiant had been sent to this sector specifically to look for signs of intelligent life, but finding it on their very first deep mission was unexpected luck. "Message ready, sir," said Communications Officer Kevin Reyes. His fingers hovered over the console, waiting for the command. "Send it," Morris ordered. The bridge fell silent as the greeting, a carefully designed set of mathematical sequences and simple imagery meant to be understood by any technological civilization, was transmitted toward the unknown ship. Minutes passed. The alien vessel grew larger on their screens as it approached. It was massive, at least 3 times the size of the Defiant, with a strange angular design that reminded Morris of ancient Earth predators. Still no response. Rise reported, his voice tense. Dr. Alan Parker, the ship's xenobiologist, leaned forward in his seat. "Their approach pattern is unusual. Notice how they're positioning themselves relative to our escort ships." The Defiant traveled with 2 smaller vessels, the Swift and the Horizon. Standard procedure for deep space exploration. "They're scanning us," Wells announced. "Very intense energy readings. They're focusing particularly on our weapon systems and shields." Morris frowned. "Maintain position. Send the greeting again on all." A brilliant flash of light interrupted him. Where the Swift had been moments before, there was now only expanding debris. "The Swift is gone," Wells shouted, jumping to her feet. "They destroyed it without warning." The bridge erupted in chaos. Alarms blared as the tactical station reported weapons lock from the alien vessel. "Shields up." "Evasive maneuvers," Morris ordered, his voice steady despite the shock. "Prepare the Horizon for emergency jump." The alien ship fired again, the energy blast grazing the Defiant's shields. The deck shuddered beneath their feet. Then, a voice came through their communication system, speaking perfect English. "Primitive human vessel. This is Commander Zeth Krull of the Vraxian Empire. Your species has entered territory claimed by our Emperor. Your pathetic display of technology confirms what our scouts reported. You are no match for our power." Morris exchanged glances with Wells. Scouts. They'd never encountered these aliens before. "This was a simple test," the voice continued. "Your companion vessel failed. We could destroy you all, but we are merciful. Return to your homeworld with our demands. Earth will surrender to the Vraxian Empire within 1 planetary rotation, or we will reduce your world to ash. You have no technology that can stand against us." Morris gripped the arms of his command chair. "This is Captain Henry Morris of Earth. We came in peace. Your unprovoked attack. Peace is for equals, human. You are not our equals. Carry our message or die with your companion vessel." The alien ship fired again, this time at the Horizon. The smaller ship's shields flared and began to fail. Emergency jump coordinates locked in for both ships, Navigator Lisa Wong reported. Morris made his decision instantly. "Execute jump now." Space twisted around them as the Defiant and the damaged Horizon leaped into faster-than-light travel, barely escaping another blast from the Vraxian vessel. As the stars streaked past, Morris sat heavily in his chair. First contact, mankind's greatest dream, had just become its worst nightmare. The Vraxians clearly had no interest in peaceful relations. They wanted submission, and they believed humans would be easy to conquer. "Set course for Earth," he said quietly. "Maximum speed. We need to warn them." What the Vraxians didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that they had just made the biggest mistake in their empire's history. They had judged humanity by its exploratory vessels, not by its true strength, and they would soon learn what it meant to declare war on the wrong species. Admiral Carol Bennett stood silently as the recording of the Vraxian threat played for the 5th time in the United Earth Defense Council chamber. The faces around the table showed different emotions: fear, anger, shock, but hers remained calm. When Captain Morris finished his report about the destruction of the Swift and the narrow escape of the Defiant and Horizon, the room fell silent. "So," said General Frank Martinez, breaking the heavy quiet, "an alien empire we've never heard of just declared war on Earth." Admiral Bennett nodded once. "And they expect us to surrender by tomorrow." A nervous laugh escaped someone at the far end of the table. "They clearly think we're defenseless," said Dr. Paul Garcia, the head scientist of Earth's Defense Research Division. "They judged our entire civilization by our exploration vessels." Bennett pressed a button on the table. The room darkened, and a holographic display appeared in the center. "This is the moment we've prepared for. I'm implementing Protocol Omega, effective immediately." Several council members gasped. Protocol Omega had been developed 50 years ago, but was considered so extreme that most thought it would never be used. "Are you certain that's necessary?" asked Prime Minister Jackson. "Perhaps we could attempt further communication." "They destroyed one of our ships without warning," Bennett replied firmly. "And they've already decided we're easy prey. We won't get a second chance if we hesitate." She stood and addressed the room. "As of this moment, Earth goes dark. All outbound communications cease. All ships return to their nearest base. Every colony goes into lockdown. We have 6 months before their main fleet arrives. That's our window." Across Earth and throughout the solar system, the silent mobilization began. Civilian shipyards converted to military production overnight. Hidden weapons platforms, disguised as communication satellites, powered up systems that had been dormant for decades. On Mars Colony, Linda Franklin received encrypted orders. As the head of intelligence operations, she was tasked with compiling everything they knew about the Vraxians from the Defiant's sensor logs. How could they know our language? She asked her assistant, Sam Weber, as they analyzed the data. "They mentioned scouts," Sam replied. "They'd been watching us, maybe for years." Linda nodded grimly. "But they only saw what we wanted anyone to see." Meanwhile, in an underground facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Garcia authorized the activation of Project Thunderbolt, the result of reverse engineering technology found in an ancient alien wreck discovered on the Moon 30 years earlier. "Begin mass production," he told his team. "Every ship in the fleet needs to be retrofitted before the Vraxians arrive." Far across the galaxy, Commander Zeth Kroll reported to his superiors. "The humans fled as expected," he told the Vraxian High Command. "Their technology is primitive, their weapons ineffective. When our fleet arrives, they will have no choice but to submit." "Were there any unexpected developments?" asked Supreme Commander Vrektor. Zeth Kroll hesitated. "Their retreat was organized, and they abandoned their damaged vessel rather than leaving their people behind." "That shows discipline," Vrektor noted. "Still, discipline alone won't save them. Prepare the conquest fleet." The Vraxians believed Earth's silence meant fear and preparation for surrender. They did not understand that humanity had been waiting for this moment, not with fear, but with readiness. In shipyards throughout the solar system, vessels that had been hidden in plain sight revealed their true nature. Defense platforms that appeared to be simple asteroid mining operations activated weapon systems beyond anything the Vraxians had seen from the Defiant. Admiral Bennett stood in the control center beneath Geneva, watching the status reports flood in from across human space. "They think we're weak because we value peace," she said to Captain Morris, who stood at her side. "They're about to learn that we value peace exactly because we're so good at war." As Earth prepared in silence, the Vraxian conquest fleet departed their homeworld, confident in their coming victory. completely unaware they were flying into humanity's carefully laid trap. Commander Zethkrol stood proudly on the bridge of the Dominion, the lead ship of the Vraxian battle fleet. Around him, officers worked at their stations as the massive armada of 50 warships approached the edge of the human solar system. "Status report," Zethkrol demanded. "We will reach the outer boundary in 10 minutes, Commander," his navigation officer replied. "All ships report battle readiness." Zethkrol's three-fingered hand tapped against the arm of his command chair. This assignment should bring him great honor. Conquering a new species would earn him the rare silver crest of expansion. Yet something bothered him. The humans had gone completely silent since their encounter 6 months ago. "Unusual," he muttered. "Most species beg for mercy by now." The fleet passed Neptune's orbit without incident. Zethkrol expected no resistance this far out, but the complete absence of human activity seemed strange. "Commander," called his sensor officer suddenly. "We're detecting small objects ahead. They appear to be simple beacons." "On screen," Zethkrol ordered. Small, blinking devices appeared on the display. They formed a line across the fleet's path. "They're transmitting a message," the communications officer announced. "Audio only, in our language." "Play it," Zethkrol commanded. A calm human voice filled the bridge. "Attention Vraxian vessels. You are entering sovereign human space. Your previous acts of aggression have been noted. Turn back now. This is your only warning." Laughter erupted across the bridge. Even Zethkrol allowed himself a small chuckle. "They think warning beacons will stop us," he said, amused. "Continue forward. Ignore the human toys." The fleet moved past the warning line, pressing toward the asteroid belt that separated the outer and inner solar system. 6 hours until we reach Earth," the navigation officer reported. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. The ship lurched violently to one side. "What was that?" Zethkrol demanded, gripping his chair. "Unknown, sir," the tactical officer shouted. "Something is affecting our drive systems. 3 ships at the rear of the fleet report similar disruptions." Zethkrol growled in frustration. "Scan the area. Find the source." The asteroid belt ahead seemed normal, but as they drew closer, sensors detected unusual energy readings coming from specific asteroids. "They've hidden devices inside the asteroids," the science officer reported with surprise. "They're generating localized gravity distortions." Before Zethkrol could respond, 2 smaller ships at the fleet's edge spun out of control, their navigation systems confused by the shifting gravity fields. They collided with each other, causing significant damage to both vessels. "Impossible," Zethkrol muttered. "Their technology shouldn't be this advanced." On the U.S. Vigilant, hidden within a hollowed-out asteroid, Major Samantha Davis watched the Vraxian fleet's approach on her tactical display. "Gravitational disruptors working as planned," her second-in-command reported. "They're slowing down to navigate the fields." "Good," Davis nodded. "That gives the inner defense rings more time to prepare. Alert Jupiter Station that they'll be ready for Phase 2. Back on the Dominion, Zethkrol ordered the fleet to adjust their formation, creating a narrow spearhead to navigate through the gravitational traps. They pushed forward more slowly now, wary of more surprises. As they cleared the asteroid belt, they encountered the next line of defense, a series of automated drone ships that launched from Jupiter's moons. The small, fast vessels swarmed around the larger Vraxian ships, firing precision weapons that targeted engine exhausts and sensor arrays. "These are not the tactics of a primitive species," Zethkrol shouted as the bridge shook from another impact. "Where is their main fleet? Where are their warriors?" Lieutenant Jason Wright, commanding one squadron of Earth's drone ships from a hidden base on Europa, smiled as he watched the Vraxian formation break apart in confusion. "That's right," he murmured, inputting a new attack pattern. "We don't fight the way you expected." The Vraxian fleet pushed onward toward Mars, having lost 7 ships and with many others damaged. They still outnumbered any visible human forces, but Commander Zethkrol's confidence was shaken. The easy conquest he had promised his superiors was proving to be anything but easy. And they hadn't even reached Earth yet. Commander Zethkrol's fleet limped past the orbit of Mars, now reduced to 38 ships from the original 50. They had faced 3 defensive lines, each more sophisticated than the last. The last barrier, a minefield of cloaked explosives near Mars, had claimed 3 more Vraxian vessels. "Earth is ahead, Commander," his navigation officer reported, voice tight with tension. Zethkrol stared at the blue planet on the view screen. Despite their losses, they still had enough firepower to devastate a primitive civilization. The humans would surrender when they saw the fleet in orbit. "Prepare the landing forces," he ordered. "I want boots on the ground within 6 hours." "Sir," his communications officer interrupted, "we're detecting unusual energy readings from the planet." "Weapons charging?" Zethkrol asked, suddenly alert. "No, sir. It's different. Almost like massive transport signals." As the Vraxian fleet approached Earth orbit, they found something completely unexpected. Silence. Sensors showed cities empty of life. Communication channels vacant. No military response. No panicked civilians. "Scan again," Zethkrol demanded. "Where are they?" His science officer looked up from her console, mandibles twitching in confusion. "They appear to have left, Commander." "Impossible. An entire planet cannot evacuate." Yet the evidence was clear. Earth's population had vanished. Some energy signatures suggested vast underground complexes, while others pointed to massive recent transport activities to off-world colonies. "Sir," the tactical officer called out, "we're detecting new energy signatures. They're coming from behind us." Zethkrol whirled to face the tactical display. Hundreds of ships were appearing from behind Earth's moon, from Mars, from what had appeared to be simple space stations. A massive human fleet that hadn't been there minutes ago. On the bridge of the U.S. Valiant, hidden until now in a secret dock inside Earth's moon, General Ryan Cooper gave the order to advance. "All ships, this is General Cooper. The Vraxians have taken the bait. Begin Operation Reckoning." Nickel Miller stood beside him, her adaptive shield technology installed on every ship in the human fleet. "The shields are operating at peak efficiency, General. Their standard weapons won't penetrate." The human fleet moved with precision that shocked the watching Vraxians. These were not the clumsy exploration vessels they had encountered before. These ships moved with the confidence of predators. "How is this possible?" Zethkrol demanded as the first reports of human weapons fire came in. Their technology was primitive. His intelligence officer, more observant than most, finally understood. "Sir, I believe we were shown what they wanted us to see. The exploration vessels were decoys." Specialist Eric Tanner, aboard the Earth vessel Guardian, completed his interface with the Vraxian communication systems. Years of studying their technology allowed him to bypass their security. "I'm in their network," he reported to his captain. "Sending the message now." Aboard the Dominion and every other Vraxian ship, screens flickered to show Admiral Bennett's face. "Commander Zethkrol," she said calmly, "6 months ago, you destroyed one of our ships and threatened our planet. You believed us to be primitive and helpless." She gestured to someone off-screen, and the view changed to show massive shipyards hidden inside asteroids, weapons platforms disguised as mining operations, and fleets of advanced warships emerging from hidden docks across the solar system. "Humanity has known about alien life for decades," Bennett continued. "We found a crashed alien ship on our moon 30 years ago. We learned we weren't alone, and we prepared accordingly." Zethkrol watched in stunned silence as human ships surrounded his fleet, weapons trained on their vital systems. "We maintained a peaceful facade while building our defenses," Bennett explained. "The ships you encountered were deliberately designed to appear less advanced. We needed to know the intentions of any aliens we met." She leaned forward, her expression hard. "You failed the test, Commander. You chose aggression over peace, and now you face the consequences of declaring war on the wrong species. As if to emphasize her point, 5 more Vraxian ships reported critical systems failures as targeted EMP weapons disabled their engines. The hunters had become the hunted. Commander Zethkrol sat in his private quarters aboard the Dominion, defeat heavy on his shoulders. The human fleet had disabled 10 more Vraxian ships without destroying them, a show of power and restraint that was perhaps more frightening than outright destruction. His communication panel lit up with an incoming transmission. He expected it to be Admiral Bennett with terms of surrender, but instead, he saw the face of another Vraxian, Sub-Commander Vrel Shar from the science vessel Enlightenment. "Commander, we must speak privately," Vrel Shar said, her voice low. "I've secured this channel, but we don't have much time." "What is the meaning of this, Sub-Commander?" Zethkrol demanded. "Not all Vraxians support this war," she replied. "Many of us in the scientific community have opposed the Empire's expansion for years. We've formed a resistance." Zethkrol's eyes widened. "You speak treason." "I speak truth," she countered. "And now I must speak to the humans. They need to know that another Vraxian battle group twice the size of yours is only 3 days away. Our Emperor sent them when he lost contact with your fleet. On Earth's moon base, Secretary William Hayes received the unexpected message from a Vraxian vessel. They want to talk," he asked, looking at Admiral Bennett. "Could be a trap." "Maybe," Bennett nodded. "But our scans show their main weapons are powered down. Bring them in under heavy guard." Hours later, Sub-Commander Vrel Shar stood in the lunar conference room, surrounded by human security officers led by Captain Olivia Grant. The captain kept her hand on her weapon, eyes never leaving the Vraxian. "You've surprised us twice now," Vrel Shar said to the gathered human leaders. "First with your advanced technology, and now with your restraint. You could have destroyed our fleet." "We prefer not to kill when there are alternatives," Secretary Hayes replied. "But make no mistake, we will defend ourselves." Vrel Shar nodded. "That is why I am here. I lead a faction that believes the Empire's policy of conquest is wrong. We wish to help end this conflict before it escalates further." She activated a small device that displayed a holographic star chart. "A second battle group is approaching. 53 ships, including 2 planet killers." The room fell silent. Captain Grant stepped forward, eyes narrow. "Why should we trust you?" "This could be a ploy to make us lower our guard." "A fair question," Vrel Shar replied. "I offer 2 things as proof of my sincerity. First, communication codes that will allow you to monitor Imperial fleet movements. Second, technical specifications of our most powerful weapons." She turned to Admiral Bennett. "Your shield technology is impressive, but it has a weakness against our phase disruptors. I can help you correct that flaw." Bennett studied the Vraxian scientist carefully. "And what do you want in return?" "When this is over, help us reform our society," Vrel Shar said simply. "The Empire has been on this destructive path for too long. Many of us want change." In a secure room nearby, Commander Zethkrol watched the exchange on a monitor. Beside him stood Captain Henry Morris, the man whose ship he had threatened 6 months ago. "Your subordinate betrays your Empire," Morris observed. Zethkrol was quiet for a long moment. "Perhaps, or perhaps she sees what I am only beginning to understand. We were told humans were primitive, easy prey. We were told this would bring glory to the Empire." He turned to face Morris. "Instead, we find a species that hid its strength, prepared for the worst, yet shows mercy when victory is assured. It makes me question many things." Morris nodded. "Sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when not to use your power." As the humans and rebel Vraxians began planning their defense against the coming battle group, news arrived from the outer system. The second Vraxian fleet had been detected crossing Neptune's orbit, moving fast toward Earth. They had 3 days to prepare for a force that came not to conquer, but to annihilate. The moon base buzzed with activity as humans and rebel Vraxians worked side by side. Using Vrel Shar's technical knowledge, Dr. Nicole Miller modified Earth's shield systems to resist the phase disruptors carried by the approaching Vraxian battle group. Admiral, all ships have been updated with the new shield configurations, Miller reported to Admiral Bennett. The modifications are complete. Bennett nodded. Good work, but we're still outnumbered. 53 ships, including 2 planet killers. General Ryan Cooper stepped forward, pointing to a holographic display of the solar system. We can't just wait for them to arrive. We need to take the fight to them. A forward defense, Bennett asked. No, Cooper replied. A counterattack. Strike them before they're ready. Captain Laura Chen, commander of Earth's most advanced warship, the U.S. Valiant, had been listening quietly. Now she spoke up. My ship can leave a small, fast strike force. If we use the intelligence from our Vraxian allies, we can hit them where they're vulnerable. Bennett considered the plan. The risk is high. If you fail, we lose our best ships. If we wait, we risk everything. Chen countered. And surprise is the one advantage they won't expect us to use. The plan was set in motion. Captain Chen would lead a strike force of 12 advanced warships to intercept the Vraxian battle group near Jupiter. Commander Zethkral, seeing an opportunity for redemption, requested to join the mission. My knowledge of Vraxian tactics could prove useful, he told Captain Chen as they prepared to depart. And my presence may cause hesitation among my people. Chen studied him carefully. Can I trust you? I have seen the error of my empire's ways, Zethkral replied, and I have seen the honor in yours. As the strike force departed, Commander Daniel Brown outlined their strategy. We won't engage their entire fleet. We target their command ships and planet killers. Hit hard, hit fast, then retreat. Aboard the Vraxian command vessel, Emperor Kruldorax himself had joined the battle group. He stood on the bridge, mandibles clicking with impatience. How much longer until we reach this human world? He demanded. 2 standard cycles, Your Eminence, replied Fleet Commander Grexan. We have lost contact with Commander Zethkral's advance fleet, but our sensors detect debris consistent with a major battle. Then the humans have some fight in them, the Emperor mused. It will make their eventual submission more satisfying. Alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. Energy signatures detected. A tactical officer shouted. Multiple vessels approaching at high speed. Impossible, Grexan muttered. The humans couldn't know we're coming. But they did know. Captain Chen's strike force dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly behind the Vraxian formation. Before the surprised aliens could react, the human ships launched a barrage of precision strikes against the 2 planet killers. Target their power cores, Chen ordered as the Valiant swept through the enemy formation. Don't give them time to respond. The Vraxian fleet scattered in confusion. They had expected to surprise Earth, not to be ambushed themselves. The 2 massive planet killers, still powering up their main weapons, were particularly vulnerable. On the bridge of the second planet killer, Commander Zethkral appeared on their screens. This is Commander Zethkral of the Vraxian Empire. Power down your weapons. The humans know your weaknesses. They can destroy you, but they prefer peace. Traitor, the ship's captain snarled. You betray your emperor. I serve the true spirit of our people, Zethkral replied. Not a tyrant's ambition. The human ships continued their precision strikes, disabling engines and weapon systems while avoiding crew quarters where possible. When the first planet killer's power core began to overload, human transporters extracted many of the crew before it exploded. Emperor Kruldorax watched in shock as his mighty fleet fell into disarray. These were not the actions of a primitive species fighting for survival. This was a calculated demonstration of power and mercy from a civilization that had clearly been watching and waiting. For the first time in his long rule, Emperor Kruldorax felt something unfamiliar, doubt. The grand hall of the Luna Peace Station hummed with tension. On one side sat the human delegation, led by Ambassador Kevin Rodriguez. On the other, Emperor Kruldorax and his advisors. Between them stood holographic displays showing the defeated Vraxian fleets. "I did not come here to surrender," the Emperor said, his voice low and controlled. "I came to understand." Ambassador Rodriguez nodded respectfully. "And we did not bring you here to humiliate your people, but to establish peace." 3 weeks had passed since the battle near Jupiter. The humans could have pressed their advantage and struck deep into Vraxian territory, but instead they had offered a ceasefire. This puzzled Emperor Kreldorax more than anything else. "Your species had the power to destroy us," the Emperor noted. "Yet you chose restraint. Why?" "Because true strength lies in knowing when not to use power," Rodriguez replied. "Our history taught us that lesson the hard way." High Counselor Mrelthar, who had risen to prominence within the Vraxian leadership after supporting peace talks, studied the humans with curiosity. "Your technology surpasses ours in many ways, yet you kept it hidden. You let us believe you were weak." Admiral Bennett, sitting beside Rodriguez, leaned forward. "We have observed 17 different alien civilizations over the past 30 years. We learned that those who display their power often become targets. Those who boast of their weapons often find themselves in wars. So you watched from the shadows," Kreldorax said with newfound respect. "Preparing, learning, but never revealing your true capabilities until threatened. We built our defenses hoping never to use them," Rodriguez explained. "We explored space seeking friends, not conquests." The negotiations continued for 5 days. Both sides made concessions. The Vraxians would respect Earth's sovereignty and the boundaries of human space. Humans would share certain technologies but keep others secret. Trade agreements were drafted. Cultural exchanges were planned. On the final day, newly promoted Admiral Henry Morris met with Commander Zethkrol in the observation dome overlooking Earth. "It's beautiful," Zethkrol said, gazing at the blue planet. "I came to conquer it without ever seeing its beauty." Morris nodded. "That's often how wars begin. We fight over things we barely understand." "My first contact with your species was one of aggression," Zethkrol admitted. "I believed it was strength. Now I see it was ignorance. And my species responded with calculated force," Morris replied. "Some might call that wisdom, but it came from centuries of our own mistakes." Far below them, in the Grand Hall, the final documents were being signed. The Solvraxian Accord established boundaries, protocols for interaction, and a framework for cooperation between former enemies. As Emperor Kreldorax pressed his seal into the document, he looked up at Ambassador Rodriguez. "Your species could have destroyed mine. Instead, you chose to teach us. This is not the outcome I expected when I sent my fleets to conquer Earth." Rodriguez smiled slightly. "When you declared war on humanity, you didn't realize what kind of species you were challenging. Now you do." "Indeed," the Emperor agreed. "We learned the hard way." "Sometimes that's the only way to learn," Rodriguez replied. News of the accord spread quickly throughout both civilizations. On Earth, humans emerged from their bunkers and shelters, returning to rebuild their lives on the surface. The Vraxian Empire, for the first time in centuries, turned its focus inward to reform rather than outward to conquer. Other alien civilizations watched these developments with surprise and caution. The species they had dismissed as primitive had revealed itself to be powerful but measured, capable of great force but preferring peace. As Admiral Morris later wrote in his memoirs, "They declared war on the wrong species, but in doing so, they found something better than conquest. They found respect, and perhaps, in time, friendship."